Hey guys, how's it going? So my name is Abdul, and today I'm going to be talking about a documentary that I watched a couple other days ago. And I'll be breaking it down, explaining to you what happened and some of my knowledge and opinions on it, right? So the title of the video is Dirty Water, Danger from the Tap, and the source is a very well-known American publishing news site, CNN. And it was published November 28th, 2018, so it's very recent. It's about a year old, right? So basically what this video does, it goes to two towns in America, one in Denmark and South Carolina, and the other one in Enterprise in Louisiana. Now what it talks about is when we think of the concept of poor water management, when we think about poor water quality, we think about countries, developing nations in Africa or in Asia, right? Poor water quality can also happen in first world Western societies, like in America, even in Canada, right? So basically it talks about two towns, and they're the only towns in America that are affected by low water quality. So the thing about Denmark is, for some reason, there's a lot of lead. There's a big concentration of lead in the tap water. And there's so much that the doctors in Denmark are talking about not being exposed to that water, right? Don't get your skin exposed to it, don't drink it, because too much exposure to lead can lead to things, to diseases and even death, right? So many people can't use tap water, so then they have to go about 10, 12 kilometers up north to a water well where they fill up their water, right? And Enterprise, people don't know what's in the water. Some people have black water, some people have like orange water, which you most likely get from lead. There's a lot of pollutants in it, right? There was a boiled water advisory in it. However, the fact is, if there is lead in it, in the water, boiling it will only make the concentrate ratio between the water and the lead more, per se. If you don't do something like this, distillate the, like use a, kind of like something like a distillation system where like it first evaporates and then condenses. However, what people on CNN are saying, if you boil it per se, just boiling the water, it can make the lead concentrate, because the lead is obviously being left behind in the water per se, right? When the water evaporates. So there's more lead in the water. And the water that hasn't, become water vapor. So people don't know what to do. And in Enterprise, where this is happening, where they don't know what's in the water, they have to go approximately like 41 kilometers up north just to get bottled water. Right? 41 kilometers up, 41 kilometers back. So it's 82 kilometers just to get water. Right? And the thing is, people don't know what to do, because in Denmark, whenever scientists were gonna go investigate it, the water treatment facility, to see whether it's kind of like a point source form of pollution, where the water management isn't putting in something, or whether it's in more of a non-point source where there's something like, pesticides or like runoff or something like that entering the water, and then the water management facility not being good enough per se. However, they weren't given access. For the mayor has no valid reason per se, and Enterprise, they simply say that they don't have enough funding, so they can't properly treat the water. But they don't know what's in it. They don't know how that water's in, what point or non-point source pollution is coming into it. That's the question, right? So they're all confused, and the two factors are coming from a lack of funding, right? So, when looking at this brings back a lot of memories, because where I come from, I'm from Pakistan, right? So then Pakistan, it's very similar per se. For example, all water is put on boil advisory there, right? All tap water. However, if the water is a different type of color, if it's like an orangish brown color, I wouldn't boil it. I wouldn't drink that water because it could have lead. It could have another pollutant that if I boil it, just simply boil it, it could make the concentration worse. So I always have to be careful whenever I was checking tap water to boil it, obviously to drink. I had to first see what's the odor in it, what's the color, what's all that, right? Simply put, both tap waters are considered non-potable, right? However, in Pakistan is more bacteria-based, because, you can get bacteria like cholera from the water, because they don't properly chlorinize it, but there's also a possibility of lead, just like in Enterprise, just like in Denmark, right? Also, when people in Denmark, they can't use the water to shower, they were told by doctors not to get skin exposure. So they have to use the water that they use to drink from the well and tap that they use like 10-12 kilometers north. It's just used for like bathing and showering. That's also what happened for me in Pakistan. Very similar, but same concept, where I had to always, whenever I turned on the tap for the shower, I would just fill it up in a bucket to be able to see if there is lead or if there are any pollutants in the water, because I don't want that on my skin, right? Because if I do it in the shower head, it's kind of unexpected, per se. And like I said, all three places I'm talking about simply have it by lack of funding. Whether because of the higher government powers, they're simply too busy, or they simply don't have the money in some cases, right? For Enterprise in Denmark, it's more the fact that the US Congress didn't bring up the issue. However, the thing is, they're too busy dealing with so many other things, they can't really focus on that. Pakistan's case is more funding related, and also the lack of thing is a bit of both, because Pakistan doesn't really have a lot of funding, especially because they spend it on other things, right? And obviously there's laziness and arrogance in places of power. However, all three places have very low quality water management supplies. And also should note that they're all very old. Pakistan's water management is very old, it's not of the century, it's not up to that standard. Same with Enterprise, same with Denmark, because they didn't redo it. The original water treatment facilities are still around and they're still using that water, right? So yeah, obviously this brings a bit of connection. I want to talk about the impacts this has on society, and the impacts on me especially. This has a lot of impacts on me. So this documentary was on YouTube and it only had 34,000 views. That's a problem, because the place where these problems are, well, I'm just focused on our Enterprise in Denmark right now. It happened in America, Western society, where when enough people, or citizens per se, they stand up against the government will be pressured into abiding to what the people say, because they want to get voted next term, right? However, if there's a lack of people aware of the situation, how can they do it, right? So, for example, when we look at climate change, right? Climate change wasn't that, per se, important years back. It was more, say, people knew about it. Scientists knew about it, but people didn't really talk about it as much. Compared to 2019, so many people are going out marching, and all suddenly now governments realize, climate change is so important, right? And now showing up in political debates, it's constantly being talked about by politicians because it's a big issue towards the people. So if enough Americans per se were to watch this video, this would have a big impact, because versus the small towns, then it can be bigger, more powerful cities and towns, right? Well, everything's possible. So like climate change, where everyone does marches, everyone's talking about on social media, that's the same thing will happen once it gets enough, per se, people know about it. Once people know a lot about it. So yeah, obviously the impact on society would be huge, because then the government will have to fix it, per se, if they want to get elected. And it'll bring realization on people that we need to fix the water crisis in our nations first before we fix other people's, right? Now, the society and the impact that had on me is I didn't have that much of a concept that there's like places that the water quality is so bad, or the water is just so unpotable, that's probably even worse than like developing countries, right? Like in Pakistan, I never had to worry about always having lead water or black water, right? So, like how I push, like many of my friends and family know how I push towards clean, potable, fresh water being given to people in developing nations. I'll begin to push for this, you know. I'll talk about it with my friends, I'll talk about it with my family, I'll talk about it with a lot of my American friends and family that I know obviously in America, right? Ask them, you know, circulate it, you know, talk about it, you know. If I come across any donation sites, obviously I'll put in a portion of my money into it, because this is important issues to me. And it does bring a big dousing of reality on me personally about how no world, no matter what they say, can be perfect in any constant way. Like, we're given the aspect that, oh, you know, Canada, America, you can just open the taps and just drink water. However, it's not the case for everywhere, right? Now, as I'm beginning to end my video, I'm going to talk about some of the main ideas in this video, in the documentary I was watching. Some of the main ideas per se were, like I said before, that no country is perfect in any aspect. For example, any country can have non-potable tap water when the government does not act. Standards due to their laziness and arrogance or lack of time per se. So, anywhere, even in Canada, even basically everywhere, there's always a water crisis. And just to see how low water quality makes people so drastic, right? Like we learn about in Africa, you know, how many people have to walk miles just to get to fresh water sources. Here in Canada and America too, like 82 kilometers is not a joke, right? And like the amount of money they spend, like in Denmark, what happened was there was a couple that had to spend at least $4,000 just to fix their plumbing, because they thought that the plumbing was the reason why there was lead in their water, but in reality it wasn't. It was coming from the water treatment facility, right? So it just talks about how drastic we are to bring a more impact towards people, because we didn't have that much of an impact for climate change once we can obviously see polar bears on thin ice per se, right? You know, just an example. And to, like I said, these are all mentioned, I'm just recapping them per se, to be aware of the national problems around you, you know? First focus on those problems before you fix other people's problems, right? Because we're more aware of the water crisis in Africa, right? In African countries compared to here in North America. And It talks about how we have to be a part, how we should push the government in legal ways on doing this stuff, on fixing, making the human quality of life much better. Now, after watching this very excellent documentary, I asked some questions. Some of them being like, why don't these towns take the government to court? You know, America and Canada are very, per se, lawful countries, right? So obviously one's taken to court. Obviously, they'll have to side with the towns because the towns simply just don't have enough money to pay for it. That's the upper government's job is to sort of help, right? Responsibility, per se. And that leads into my second question on what penalties would be received if the U.S. government was, found to be guilty for, not for negligence of people, per se, right? Will they have to pay money to the towns, just say? Will they lose some of their privileges? Will they go to a committee or something, And my third question, last question, was if these towns do have to still live with these water qualities, and it comes to the point where they have to actually use that water, what will happen to their future generations? How will they be different from, per se, us in Calgary, who have clean water source just from opening the tap, right? So these are just some of my facts and knowledge and opinions that I have over this documentary. If you want to go watch it, just go on YouTube and search up I believe the title is Dirty Water, Danger from the Tap on YouTube, CNN, and you should see about an 18-minute documentary. I recommend you watch it, like said, because we want to raise awareness of these issues. And it gave me a realization, and I can give that sense of realization as that video can. It's pretty hard. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later.